And I think that the most heartbreaking thing of all of this is that I believe the way it's affecting their followers. And so as I've said before, I've spent a lot of time on their channels at the beginning of this year because one of them in particular invited me to come on as a guest on the show twice, and I really appreciated that. And then the other one, the one that made all the videos about me, invited me a couple of times to come to the premiere of his hit videos against me where he said all these mean things. And I didn't want to do it, but I prayed and I prayed, and the premiere one, and I felt like God was saying, "Go." And what I felt God saying is that even Jesus accepted dinner invitations from Pharisees. So I did go, and I just tried to demonstrate Jesus, demonstrate forgiveness and love. And I tell you what, when I was on their channels, I was just viciously attacked by their followers, by their subscribers. These are have to be the most hateful group of people that I have ever met. I was honestly surprised when I first started encountering these people. So when I started encountering them before I ever went to the channels, because I didn't know about it, but every time you'd make a video, a bunch of them would come over to my channel and they would start just flinging out these mean insults. And at first, like, who are these people? Where they call themselves Christians, but I don't know anybody that acts that way in real life. What's going on? And I always, even back then, I was always trying to reach out to them in forgiveness and love, and just because people who are filled with the love and joy and peace of Jesus Christ, they do not act that way. So people who, they don't go out and attack people, even people they disagree with. People who are willing to act this way so viciously and hatefully, they are not happy people. They are wounded people. And so I don't really care what people say about me. It doesn't really bother me. But I care about these people because I do care about people. And so it just broke my heart, the way they were acting and how obviously hurting they were. And so I would try to reach out to these people. And most of the time it didn't work. Most of the time they would just get madder, and I got cussed out a whole bunch of times. And, I just don't care about what they say to me. But there were, I think, 3 people in all the months that I was interacting with these people, trying to reach out to them. There were 3 of their followers who I interacted with enough that the walls started coming down. Because, I'm trying to find out what's wrong. What happened to you? Why are you so mad? Why are you so bitter and angry? And in those 3 cases, we were able to start talking. They started sharing with me and telling me what was going on and what happened to them to cause them to be so angry and so bitter and so hateful. And every single time it was the same thing. It was church wounds. So they had all gone to one of these prophetic churches. Somebody was mean to them, lied to them, or treated them badly at that church. Or maybe they gave money to one of these people and then they regretted it, or for some reason they got mad about that. So they were all angry about they had access to grind. And so these are the kinds of people who are drawn to these channels. They want to go to these channels to watch these guys beat up on those terrible charismatic people who believe in the gift of prophecy. And so that's what they're doing. And it's really it's very damaging to everybody involved, because they're feeding each other's wounds. They're feeding each other's bitterness. So they congregate together so that they can, get angry about it together, and they can just they can beat up on these other Christians, and it's not healthy. Nobody gets healed that way. Church wounds can only be healed as you give all of your hurt and your pain to Jesus, and you let him heal your heart, and you let him bring you to a place of forgiveness. I have church wounds. I grew up with a terribly abusive religious mother in an abusively legalistic denomination. And it took me decades. I'm still working on it. But I have worked hard for decades to give all that woundedness to Jesus so that I can forgive my mother and forgive all of that abuse, so that, that God can heal my heart. You got to work hard at it. And if you are instead congregating with other people who have this, so you can feed each other's wounds and get angry together, you are never going to get healed. You're going to get worse, because you've got that root of bitterness. And if you feed that, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it will take over your whole life. It will sear your conscience, and it also opens up, the more you feed your anger and your hatred, you are opening up the door to the enemy, to demons, to come in and start lying to you. And so I think that's what's happened in a lot of these cases. And these people, they're so angry. It's their consciences have been seared, and they can't even fathom that this behavior that they're just putting out there in a public forum is terrible. And they look terrible because they're being so mean and so hateful. So they can't even see it because they've reached that point. And it's heartbreaking. It breaks my heart. And I pray for these people. I pray for these people.